Let's talk about some struggling hitters up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, June 11th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and some struggling hitters we haven't talked much about. First up, Austin Riley from your Atlanta Braves. What's going on, Scotty? He is batting .230 with 3 homers and a .648 OPS. The plate discipline is still fine. Still hitting the ball relatively hard. The problem is that the power has just plummeted. Where are you at on Austin Riley, and would you be looking to buy low?
Well, I'm actually writing an article about 15 hitters. Just will we see them get back to normal? Because there are a lot of high-end hitters who are struggling, and a lot of it has to do with an environment that's been very bad for offense this year, the worst year for offense we've seen in almost a decade. So Riley may partially be falling victim to that. I don't see a lot of other problems otherwise. Normal K rate, normal walk rate, normal hard hit rate, normal launch angle. Exit velocity is just a shade low, but still very high relative to the league. Mainly the barrel rate is low. He's not barreling up as many balls, hitting him with the most optimal contact. And that seems like largely a timing issue. It seems like that's going on with a lot of Braves hitters. I don't know if they need to change their batting practice routine or what's going on with them. But the fact that Riley is still making as much contact as usual and is hard, the contact is on average anyway, I feel pretty confident saying he's going to turn things around and be a must-start player or perform like it anyway very soon.
Let's take a look at Adolis Garcia, who the overall numbers still look pretty good. He had an awesome April, but since May 1st, Garcia is batting .155 with a .506 OPS. So I can imagine people who have him are frustrated. There might be a buying opportunity here. What are your thoughts on Adolis Garcia?
Yeah, it's been a rough stretch. He did have a 6-game stretch there in the middle of May where he hit 4 home runs. So there have been, it's not like he's just totally disappeared for a month and a half. Looking at the season, the full season numbers, not a lot seems off from the usual pace for Adolis Garcia, except the batting average is down closer to 215 than 240. But a 25, 30-point difference in batting average, if everything else is going right, if the power production is there, that just doesn't raise a lot of alarm with me. Even over full seasons, you can see a player have a 30-point swing in his usual batting average. If the power was missing for Adolis Garcia, that would be a much bigger concern. But 40% of the way through the season, the fact that his batting average is off by 25 points, likely it'll get corrected. And even if it doesn't, still, relative to the way other high-end hitters have performed, it seems like Adolis Garcia should be the least of your concerns.
It's a similar story for CJ Abrams, who got off to a great start in April. He hit .295 with 7 homers, 7 steals, a .992 OPS. Since May 1st, Abrams is batting .206, just 2 walks to 35 strikeouts, and a .549 OPS. The weirdest part of his season is that he has 10 steals on a team that leads baseball in stolen bases. So I can't really explain that. But Scott, what have you seen from CJ Abrams? Is he another one that you would look to capitalize on and maybe try and acquire right now?
Yeah, so I can't shake my disappointment in CJ Abrams because he's so off pace with the stolen bases. He stole 38 bases in the final 3 months last year, which, is like a 75 steal pace. Now, I wasn't counting on him for 75 steals, sustaining quite that pace, but 60 steals, I was kind of penciling him in for that. 50 at worst, with where I took him. But he's not even on pace for 30 now, and that's a problem. He may redeem himself with the hitting. Now, with this recent slump, the slash line looks very similar to last year, so it doesn't feel like he's redeeming himself with the hitting, but the expected stats are much better still. He's still putting the ball on the ground far less. He's still pulling it more. He's still making contact in a way that should lead to bigger results, as the expected stats suggest. It's just we have to hope he plays up to the expected stats moving forward rather than the expected stats regressing because he continues to struggle. So A mix of good and bad there with CJ Abrams, but obviously enough reason to stick with him. We're not talking about dropping him or trading him or anything like that.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.